What is up, guys? I'm back with another video. It's your boy Andy Matrix, following Jesus Christ. In today's message, denominations are stupid. Yes, Christian denominations are absolutely moronic. And Christian denominations are a product of the corruption of the message of Jesus Christ, right? So, in the very beginning, the 12 disciples, right, or well, I should say the 11 disciples, because Judas betrayed Jesus. The 11 disciples, they formed the very, very, very first church ever. The very first church ever found was from them, and then of course after them, the church was spread, right? And then after that, after Christianity started spreading from Israel, from Jerusalem out to other parts of the world, then the original Christians were Jews, right? And then after that came the Catholic Church, right? Because eventually the Romans, the Roman Empire, who, by the way, at the time of Jesus Christ, the Roman Empire was already, uh, you know, Israel was already under the foot of the Roman Empire. So because Christianity started in Israel, in Jerusalem, right? The Romans also picked up Christianity, the original Christianity. But what did the Romans do? Of course, they started to change it up a little bit according to their liking. They because the Romans, they already had their own gods. They had their Greek gods, Zeus, Poseidon, all those gods, and this is where the saints came in, right? They named the saints. They replaced their Greek gods with saints. You know, they were they did create the aesthetics of the Catholic Church and then spread it throughout the world. So it's like a good thing and a bad thing. Because of the Catholic Church, many countries know Jesus Christ, but because of the Catholic Church, many things were also lost. So the you got the Vatican, the Pope, and all that stuff, right? It's religious people had a lot of power back then. After the Catholic Church, I believe it was the Protestant Church, right? The Protestants, and then I think after that was like the Pentecostals, and then after the Pentecostals, a whole bunch. There's the Orthodox Church. There's like, I mean, there's. I looked online, and there's like what 50,000 different denominations of Christianity around the world. If you go to Ethiopia, they have their own version of Christianity. That being said, the Ethiopian Bible is a little different, right? The Ethiopian Bible, I will say, is more accurate than most Bibles. Okay, but yeah, man. So there should be no denominations. Denominations are ridiculous. Denominations are stupid. Denominations create separation. So denominations are the equivalent of having different political parties, like the Democrats, the Republicans, the Libertarians, things like that. And then within those parties, there's like also separation because, well, let's say Republicans, there's conservatives, there's religious people, there's nationalists, things like that. Within Democrats, there's like the liberals, the progressives. So there's like, so even though there's like two different political parties, there's separation within the political parties. And then in the Catholic Church, there's a bit of separation in the Catholic Church. So how is it that we are so separated, yet we have 50,000 different denominations? That's ridiculous. Jesus gave us one message. We should really be following the commandments of Jesus Christ from Matthew, right? Matthew chapter 5 through 7, right? When Jesus had that sermon on the mountain, right? He had that sermon on the mountain and gave his message, his speech, right? Those are the commandments that we should be following along with the 10 commandments, the 10 original commandments from the Bible. After Moses, brought his people out of Egypt, right? But we should all be on the same page. We should all be worshiping, the same God. We should all be doing the words of Jesus Christ around the world. But no, No, people just kind of don't care. They just, these denominations are created because somebody disagreed with one thing or maybe one or two things in the Bible, and they say, you know what, screw it, we're gonna do it differently. We're gonna baptize people differently. We're not gonna baptize them when they're like little kids. We're gonna baptize them when they're older. Um, yeah. So denomination is just creating separation. It's separating Christians when we should be united. There's like what, a billion Christians on the planet, a billion Christians on the planet, and within that, there's like 50,000 different denominations. Those billion Christians around the world, or I think it's 2 billion if you put the Orthodox, the Catholic, Pentecostal Protestants. I believe it's about 2 billion if I'm not mistaken. Maybe a little bigger than that. But yeah, um, yeah. So we should all be working together, and if we were not separated, we will be able to do absolutely amazing things in this world. But we're not. We are not working together. We are working separately, and everybody's just doing their own thing. Christians should be helping the poor, educating people that don't have an education, giving out Bibles, and preaching the word together, not in different denominations. And that's why when I came, when I first, before I was a Christian, I said, if I ever do become a Christian, I'm gonna take it seriously because I don't want to be like these hypocrites. Forgive me, I don't want to be like these hypocrites. And that's what I'm trying to do now. I'm trying to be an honest Christian. I'm trying to be good for Jesus Christ. But yeah, that's what I just decided. I'm not gonna have a denomination, but I will say I do like to go to the Catholic Church because it's calm and peaceful. Right, they do have like a peaceful sermon, very calm. The Orthodox Church is pretty cool. Pentecostals is a little too much for me. I think they're like extremely emotional. That's probably gonna upset somebody. But yeah, man, there should be no denomination. There should be no denomination. Jesus gave us all the same message, right? But we decided to separate. But I believe the church is going to change in the future. There's going to be a new church. I think there's a prophecy about that. I don't know in what book it is, but I believe that um, there's going to be a new church. In this new church, it is not going to have any denominations. It's just going to be one church, one people under God. That's it. But anyways, whatever your thoughts are, make sure to comment below, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and make sure to read Matthew chapter 5 through 7 and follow the commandments of Jesus. Everybody, it's your boy Andy Matrix Anderson, and I'll see you in the next video. God bless.